Good morning, traders. It is Friday, November 1st. We had obviously the start of a new month. We'll see how the last 2 months of the season go by here, of the trading season. And let's take a look at the markets. Yesterday, the equities markets. Let's zoom in a little bit. Yesterday, we saw some pretty good selling. It did recover halfway through the day. Obviously, we had some news come out, Fed news, and the market sold off and rebounded. Overall, pretty weak on the markets in general. We're not seeing a lot of life in them, and we are expecting the markets to top out here. And if we look at our shorter term cycles here, you can see the pink line here is our intermediate cycle line, and what we need to focus on is we're looking for this cycle to start topping, just like we've seen over here where the market will start to flounder. We'll be obviously looking for some type of break of a support level. These are kind of where the market, you start to look for some type of break in the market, coupled with the market rolling over. We want to see these cycles roll over. And we've seen it happen over and over again where the market gets in this level here. So that's what we're waiting for, is the market to show us a sign that it's starting to roll over. We are seeing money start to rotate into the safe havens. Bonds have been firming up, which they tend to rotate and reverse before the stock market. It's kind of an early warning sign. Money was started to move into metals. Utilities have had a nice strong pop. More or less this blue line here, when it is up in this upper zone, that means we are still in a full out bull market, and it's a major long-term cycle. Obviously, we need to see that roll over and start to head down into the lower end of this range for us to kind of have a signal that, hey, we are in now a new downward major cycle or a bear market, but we're not there yet. And at this point, all we're looking for is hopefully some type of top, and we'll hopefully get a short signal, or we get long metals as the market sells off, and we're going to see some type of support as we come down to these levels. There will be horizontal support here, another horizontal support over here, and another over here. That if things get pretty ugly, like last December, we could see some huge sell-off, but there's no point in looking that far ahead at this point. We just have to play these type of moves in the market, these kind of rotations, whether we get long stocks or get short stocks or get long safe havens, maybe a mix of both. We'll see how that unfolds, but one bar at a time here. Let's take a look over at bonds. Bonds have had nice 2 days back to back to the upside, holding up nice today. Overall, you can see here they've kind of been trending lower. They're starting to reverse to the upside, and you could argue if you're connected this high down to this high, it's done an early kind of breakout to the upside. And let's just zoom in a bit here. You can see here this could be argued that it is broken out of this small little base here, and we've got this falling trend line. You go off this high, although this isn't a real standout high. Usually I like to see price come out and pop and have a standout high and then move lower. So this sideways formation here, you could argue it's a little base, but it's not a really nice clear stand up high. It's more of just a little consolidation. But overall, money's starting to move into bonds. If we look over at utilities, money started to move into utilities as a safe haven. And looking over at gold, gold up yesterday, and miners and silver as well. They're trying to move to the upside. And if you look here, we still have this kind of this basing formation. It's still trading in this range. We've seen this type of pattern happen over and over again. Let me zoom out a little bit. Overall, gold loves to do this where it comes down, forms this little base, and then it kind of has a squeeze up and gets everyone bullish, and then it flushes everybody out. And we've seen the same thing happen again. It's put up a base, and it's testing this level. We could still see it. There is the threat here that it could reverse from where it's at and go down, or it could have a quick shakeout. Overall, though, the momentum is shifting. Look at our cycles down here. More or less, we've seen the market come down. We started to put in an oversold and a cycle low, and this is still a mix of different time frames. Overall, we're starting to put in another upward bias here. It is shifting, and it's broken this previous cycle high. So we're starting to see higher low and higher high in the cycles. So we got positive divergence. Price hasn't broken yet, but this could be a nice base, and we're getting close to a potential signal here to get long gold or miners or whichever we get active in for that play. Taking a look over at, let's take a look at gold miners. You can see they've broken this previous pivot high, which is good. We want to see miners lead the way. Overall, let's take a look over at silver as well. Silver is holding up its ground here. The speculative plays, the more speculative ones. Silver and miners obviously are kind of leading the way, which to extent is a good thing. Overall, we'll see how things shake out today. It's the last day of the week. Weekly closes are very strong. Maybe we get into a position today or Monday. Now the Fed's kind of cleared out. Let's see what kind of momentum we get going forward here. But as you can see here, it looks like we're starting to rotate to the upside, and the safe havens are definitely coming into favor. Looking over at natural gas down 1.5%. It's pulling back. This is the first major resistance area. We're having a quick pullback here. We'll see if we can get some traction. Very similar to over here where, let me just pull up a diagram. So over here, this was the previous high over here. This is where we got into our first trade, which was over here. We caught this first move up. As it gets into resistance, you're usually going to see some type of pullback and rally, and you can see it did that a couple times. Overall, we are into this high. This is kind of the first level for it to have a hiccup or some profits taking. Hopefully this is a high momentum play, much like over here or over here, where we're going to just see the market flush out today. Maybe next week we see a final push up to some new highs and we can exit the rest of our position. Overall, this is the first rally out of here. Usually the first pullback or pause in a new uptrend can be bought. So overall, we are still long and we're waiting for it to find support. We're going to have support right across this area down here. So there's still quite a bit of room for natural gas to potentially fade down for a bull flag and still have a big run to the upside. So that's where we're at. And we'll see if we get that type of follow through. Looking over at crude oil, up 0.7%. It has rallied. It's kind of fading back down. Overall, again, it's kind of underperforming. We do have our cycle top down over here. Our longer term cycle is moving down, meaning we're still under pressure. And I still feel as though it wants to go down and test this 51 area, which I feel as though it's going to want to break. And if the economy is weakening, we could see the big move down to that 45, 44 area. But overall, not a fan of crude. We're in this kind of big range right across here. We're more or less in the middle quadrant of this whole pattern, and it's pretty noisy with the way it's moved, with more or less a nominal new low, and then we made a new high. So it is a broadening somewhat formation. So we're going to leave that for now. Anyways, that's it for this morning. Talk to you in a little bit. Bye-bye.